Hello and welcome to the PowerFish podcast. I'm Fish.
I'm Ben. Dude.
I'm exhausted.
I just gotta say, let's start this off with you sound freaking tired as hell.
I'll give you a little glimpse at why here. And the why is that there's no real reason. I'm just tired. It's been a lot of late nights, a lot of busy days with work and stuff. Just it's difficult to get to sleep whenever your brain is thinking about a lot of stuff.
Well, hey, I've got the solution for you.
Do you?
Meditation, which
Sick.
you're already doing that. But regardless, I've got a story. I've been further meditating. So, as we talked about a few episodes ago, when I was only an hour in, 10 minutes a day, about a week of meditating in, it was a pretty good start so far. I've gotten to the point where I am more able to notice my thoughts outside of meditation. It's gotten it's kind of bled outside of when I'm just sitting, doing nothing, which is good. I realize more often when I am specifically having conversations with no one in my head. I was driving today, and as you know, everyone does, they think about conversations in their head that they had and think about things that they wish they would have said and say it to them in their head. And it's always mic drop moment, right?
Yeah.
At least it is for me. But so I was going through this freaking story of the guy that said fat people ain't getting no sympathy from him.
Yeah.
Y'all know that story a couple episodes back.
Y'all know it.
I was going through that scenario again in my head of just the reason being is because it makes me upset. It makes me angry to a slight degree. When, if you want context, go listen to that. I won't tell this whole story again, but long story short, this story made me angry. And I was going through it again in my head, and I realized I was doing it, and I just stopped myself and said, "Who the fuck are you talking to?"
Yeah.
And it's no one, absolutely no one. This is one step short of psychotic. The only difference between me doing that in my head and the guy walking on the sidewalk talking to himself is he has the audacity to open his mouth and I don't. That's the only difference here. Doing that is starting to feel borderline psychotic because it does nothing for you. You're not talking to anyone. You're wasting mental space and calories that it takes to shoot neurons. And meditating has started to I'm starting to catch my own thoughts more often outside of the meditation. When I'm meditating, I of course just let the thoughts flow and just try to observe them, observe the emotions that those come packaged with those thoughts. And
I would say that people would make the argument that doing that is beneficial because it helps you decompress after a confrontation. But I would say probably because it doesn't do you any good because you're not gaining any new knowledge that you didn't have prior, and you're not convincing somebody else of a point because you're not talking to anybody specifically. Right. So I think a better use of that time would be to examine the points that you were making and maybe do research. That would then at least enrich your point for the next time an argument happens.
There's a difference between, I totally agree with that. There is a difference between rerunning in your head the scenario where you come out on top and introspecting on the interaction. There's a difference between those things. And at least in my case, it seems to be the former instead of the latter more often than not.
Well, and that's everybody. It's just human nature to not want to be wrong or be
Right.
showed up or something.
Right. You don't want to be showed up. Speaking of showing up, dude, this was crazy. So there is a channel that popped up on my feed called The Truth Hurts. It's in a YouTube channel, that is. It's an older channel. They haven't uploaded in like 2 years, but they had a decent amount of content on their channel. And it's a guy named Harrison who was an ex Jehovah's Witness. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot Jehovah's Witness existed. Like, when we talk about religion, we talk about, in terms of Christian, the big three Judeo-Christian religions. There's the Jewish, the Christian, and the Islam, and the denominations within Christianity mostly, and then like a few others, like maybe Hinduism we'll throw in there. But in terms of Christianity, we talk about basically the big three of Catholicism, Protestantism, and Orthodox. Those are like the big three, and then sometimes someone might throw in a Mormon. But there's another one. There's also a Jehovah's Witness. There's a fifth denomination. Like, I forgot about them, you know? And this guy showing up on my YouTube channel, I just started to watch his stuff, and he talked a lot about, you know, the culture of Jehovah's Witness and stuff, and just things that I didn't know. Like, I didn't even know that Jehovah was their name for God. Jehovah God is. I had no, like, I knew like the Christian is like Yahweh and Allah for Islam.
Well, Jehovah, where does that comes from? Somewhere.
I'm pretty sure it came from Genesis. I'm pretty sure God's name is actually, I'm pretty sure Jehovah is somewhere in the Bible. But I don't know. I guess I just blanked. But anyway,
apparently it is it's a Latinization of Hebrew's Yahweh. It's another way to say Yahweh. Apparently.
A Latin version of the Hebrew Yahweh. Interesting.
According to that Google search I just did.
Well, I learned that God in their world is Jehovah. And
they got to witness him.
Yeah, they got their witness.
Be a witness to him.
They are a witness of him. And they call the end Armageddon, which I thought was kind of funny.
It kind of goes hard, honestly.
Yeah, that goes hard. They have a name for their end times of the return. Like, I don't know their relationship with Jesus Christ. Like, I don't know, because I know obviously Islam does not follow the Trinity. Mormonism doesn't follow the Trinity. Jews don't follow the Trinity. Christians are kind of odd man out in that way of saying Jesus was God. I don't know if Jehovah's Witness think that Jesus was God or not.
They do.
They do? They're a Trinity bunch?
They at least regard Jesus as the Son of God.
Okay. Interesting.
Which I feel like would have to imply you would believe in the Trinity.
At that point, why leave out the Holy Spirit? Like,
yeah,
might as well at that point. But so I watched a few of his videos. I learned a relatively decent amount about Jehovah's Witness. And what do you know? 3 days later, I'm driving on my route and I pull up to this house and there's 3 exceptionally well-dressed women at a door.
Oh, dude.
And they're walking away as I'm pulling up. And so I deliver the package to the front door and notice as I'm walking back, they notice me. And I'm like, oh, this is at this point, I basically already knew that they were Jehovah's Witness because I saw them at this person's door with no response, which is what I'm sure their typical experience is,
Right.
being door-to-door salesman in essence. But
It's a funny way to put that, but yeah.
yeah, so one of the ladies came up to me and gave me a little card that said jw.org. And that confirmed it. I was like, oh, yep, Jehovah's Witness.org. And and what preceded that was basically me just saying that I didn't subscribe to their worldview and gave a few reasons. But that's what watching these videos gave me the opportunity to do, was have a conversation with this woman that I would not have otherwise been able to have. Like, I was actually able to have a back and forth with her about Jehovah's Witness that I would not have been able to do if I had not found these videos 3 days earlier. Stuff like that, that's a great argument for the existence of God, is just crazy coincidences like that. Because I haven't seen Jehovah's Witness on the street in years, so many years.
I haven't either. Yeah. I wonder if they're just not as prevalent in our area.
Dude, I think they're just, I don't know. I doubt they're growing. Like everyone, it's like Mormonism. They're the religion that's fun to hate.
We have a we have a Mormon temple and a Jehovah's Witness church, I guess. I don't know if they have a special name. But we have both of those in town. But yeah, I don't see either. Well, I see Mormons more than I see Jehovah's Witness, I guess, in town.
Yeah, there's a place about an hour north of us, Nauvoo. They've got a Mormon temple there.
Dude, they're crawling all over the walls in there.
Dude, Nauvoo is permeating with people in white long sleeve shirts. It's crazy. They are all over the place there. But which, I mean, it's a cool place, but you know.
Okay, I have to bring this up. I wasn't going to bring this up, but us talking about religion made me think of this. And now I don't mean to offend anybody. That's the last thing we try to do.
When it comes to religion, we're kind of past that.
I learned about a thing that happened, and it apparently happened, and I never saw any news articles about this ever. This story came out about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago. Have you heard of Jew tunnels? Have you heard of that?
Jew tunnels.
Mm-hmm. There might be a better name for this.
Is this the thing where there was like Amish looking people crawling out at the bottom of churches or something like that?
Well, tunnels. So those Amish people are Jewish people, but
they looked Amish. I only saw one photo.
So this was in New York, and yeah, apparently some of them were digging tunnels, and I saw videos. I'd never heard of this even, and I saw videos of cops like pulling Jewish people out of the walls, in like, and then they went down there. And then they went down in these tunnels, and they're legitimate tunnels, and there's like, you could see that they had been moving dirt and like getting through. And have you heard about this?
I do remember this story. I don't remember it as anything more than just a passing headline, though. I didn't look into it. What's the deal with that? Where are they going?
I don't know. I was told about this, and then so somebody did what I just did to you. Somebody did that to me. They said, "Have you heard of the Jew tunnels?" And I was like, what are you making up to me right now? That's not true.
Have you heard of it? That sounds fake. It does sound fake as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I just found a Wikipedia article, New York City synagogue tunnel incident. Was there a reason? Did they say? I mean, from what I heard, nobody's saying anything. Nobody's.
They're keeping hush hush about why they
Yeah.
were building freaking underground tunnels.
I don't know. Apparently, there were 12 arrests with this.
Where were the
Nice.
arrests? Like, were the tunnels on property that they didn't own or something? Like, what was the arrest warrant for?
Well, I mean, you can't just start digging. That's
true. You're gonna hit
rules.
Right. Huh.
I don't know. I'm not seeing any.
I want to know. I
anything
want to
in
know
here.
more about that. That's
That's what I want to know. Is
that's hyper interesting.
oh my god, the tunnel was approximately 60 feet long.
Oh my
60 feet.
Was it? And it was person stand size.
It was
standing
5
human
feet
size?
tall. It was
Okay.
It was oh my god. It was 60 feet long, 5 feet tall, and 8 feet wide.
8 feet wide.
Apparently.
Why would they optimize width when they all couldn't stand up straight?
That's the question, really.
That's what we need to be asking here. That's so bizarre, dude.
Yeah,
60 feet? Where are they going?
I have no real follow-up to say on that.
Just gonna drop that bomb and
But I
leave
don't.
that there.
I heard about this, and I've been thinking about it a lot because I would really like to know.
Yeah, I'm so curious. Let's ask, dude. Let's get a Jew on here. Hey, why are you building a tunnel? Why is your kind building tunnels?
I'm sure 99% of the Jewish population would be like, "Bro, what?
Yeah,
we
I
don't
have no
what are we doing
idea
with
what we're
tunnels?"
talking about or why they're doing that. Yeah, that's bizarre. That's like an Alcatraz Island type of deal. Getting a spoon. Escaping.
Except instead of being in prison, they're just in New York.
in New York digging a hole. Yeah, that's funny. How many? Would they? You said 12 people. There were 12 arrests.
Were arrests, yeah.
I wonder how many conspirators there were total.
Oh,
if this
I'm
was
sure.
a conspiracy.
I'm sure a lot. If there were 12 arrests, I mean, there was a ton of people standing around whenever they were. Can I find this video?
Were they? I want to see that. Were they like arrested out of the tunnel, or did did the cop shine a flashlight down there and just see like a sea of Jews?
Yeah, it's not like there was a tunnel and people and like, you know, they had questions. Like they were being pulled out and forced out. Here, let me.
Oh my gosh.
Let me. You don't have to watch this with sound on. There's somebody jabbering over the top of it, but
I gotta see this. The Jewish tunnels of New York City. Oh my. Whoa! There's a lot of them. They're all over the walls. Oh my God.
But yeah, you could see only the first part of that video had them actually coming out, but the first guy was coming out of like a grate, and then they were literally ripping out walls to get to these tunnels.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you could see, and they said in the video, like when they started tearing it out and seeing people, like the Jewish community, at least there, was fighting the cops. So like they knew about it, allegedly.
What were they? Dude, this is the biggest conspiracy since freaking JFK and the CIA. This is crazy. We got to know what's down there. We got to know what they were doing.
I hadn't even heard about it.
Dude, I knew when this happened, but it was nothing more than like I said, a passing headline. I didn't look into it. I just thought like, oh yeah, Jews in the ground.
They're gonna be doing their stuff, you know.
They're gonna be doing what they're doing, you know. Oh yeah, that's weird. That's I don't know about that. But yeah, anyway, Jehovah's Witness, people hate him. I always thought of Jehovah's Witness as the religion that was, I mean, does anybody like them? Like
they like them.
I'm sure they do. What I didn't learn is why they are door-to-door salesmen. Like I get that we're supposed to evangelize, but like why are they so unique in that way?
Do they just Mormons do that too?
Oh yeah, they got their little Book of Mormon coming around house to house.
Got their little book.
Their little book, dude. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness are like made so much fun of because everyone hates them because they're always at doors. I say that
it's
having not seen one in years, but
it's an invasion of privacy. I would say. Come to my door and talk to me about religion. Get away. What? No.
Right. You do see a lot of doors with no soliciting on it.
Even back when I was a Christian, like somebody come up to my door and start telling me about Jesus, I'll be like, we got him. We already bought into what you're selling.
Yeah. I don't know. This is a genuine interest. So I still have the jw.org thing, and she wrote her phone number on the back.
Oh God. Are you gonna call her up?
I might, dude. I genuinely might. And just see what happens.
This would be totally an invasion of her privacy, but we should
she wrote her phone number on the back.
No, I'm saying we should get her on speakerphone on the podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah, I should have waited. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Oh no, I can't do that. What now? Oh no, I genuinely might call the phone number and
you could at least record it and then, well, I don't know how you do that. Because I want more than just a recap of the conversation.
Yeah, I know. It's gotta be exciting.
I want it to be exciting. Be there.
Well, I don't know. One of the things that we talked about was I think I started it out with like, yeah, I know who you are. And she said, "Oh, how'd you know we were Jehovah's Witness?" And I was like, "Well, you guys don't really make yourself discreet." And she said, "Yeah, because we're called to spread the word." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know you have to evangelize. Like, I'm not. That wasn't meant to be derogatory." But and I said, "Yeah, I used to be a Christian. I just don't subscribe. You guys call him Jehovah, but there's also Allah and Yahweh, Lord, whatever, all these different names and mutually exclusive religions." And she immediately responded with, "But yeah, Jehovah was in the Bible and it was taken out. The name Jehovah was taken out of the recent translations." And I didn't say anything about that because that's news to me. But
and also, why does that matter? That would be my question. Why does it matter what we're calling him if it's all the same name?
If it's all the same Abrahamic God,
yeah, I could call him George, and if I'm talking about the guy, that's him. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
That's just.
Anyway. I don't know. Yeah. I said like, yeah. Well, how do you know that you're the one? That's
yeah.
right?
I was gonna say the reason I'm pushing back on that is because the way you said that made it sound like her whole point to being a Jehovah's Witness over other religions is because his name was in the Bible.
Yeah, I don't think Allah has ever been in the Bible. I don't know where they get that name from, to be honest.
I don't know that.
But
I don't know that.
Yeah. So she said like, the Bible is true or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, well anybody can write a book saying, of course being a bit. I was being stupid because
they don't like it when you say that.
No. I was like, yeah, well, anybody can write the book. And she was like, well, yeah, but it's true though. And we have to listen to it. And I'm like, yeah, because I get that it's the divinely inspired word of God. Therefore it is a truth, an undeniable truth. And she was like, yeah, you get it. And I'm like, all right. So therefore we have to first establish that there's a God to inspire it first. So let's put the Bible aside and let's try to establish that there's a God. And then she said, oh, well, but if you look in the Bible, all the scientific facts that it states are always true. It's always true. And then she said, I didn't respond to that accurate. Because, yeah, I didn't respond to that because that's just patently false. But she said, but anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. So, jw.org. And then she walked away, which I don't know. I thought she was hot. So
Really?
yeah.
Better say that number then.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll save the number for that reason. Not because I want to talk to a Jehovah's Witness again. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, we've talked about it 1.5 billion times, and we'll talk about it 1.5 billion more. People who have these religious beliefs and they want to proclaim them, and they kind of unravel immediately
Upon investigation.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, like we're still teasing. Not that this was exclusively this way, but we're still kind of teasing the religious debate going to be going up here.
We'll say
actually,
episode 65. We'll say it now.
Yeah, we'll say it now. But yeah, not to spoil anything, but yeah, that was a really in-depth conversation. I would say that conversation goes in depth more than others. But I mean, sometimes science is science.
Yeah, just like evolution. We just talked about that last episode. Evolution is
that was
slowly, slowly being adopted by more and more. Thankfully, it took decades for the church to agree that the Earth is not the center of the universe and the sun does not orbit around us. So,
speaking of the church, I mean, I guess we might as well bring it up since today's the day. But did you see that we got a new pope?
Oh, I saw that the previous pope bit the dust, unfortunately. Rest in pepperoni, but no, I didn't see the.
Yeah, new pope one. As of the day of recording. I looked up new pope, and apparently in 2020 there was a TV show called The New Pope that ran for one season.
That's 90% than the new appointment.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So good for them. But that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, Leo the 14th is the new pope.
Pope Leo the 14th.
XIV, baby. XIV. That is 14 if I know my math.
That's 13 other Leos.
It's a lot.
Don't get it mixed up.
He had to go through a lot of Leos to be the pope.
Right. How old was Francis?
Oh, he was like in his 80s. Pope Francis, former sovereign of the Vatican City, died at 88 years old.
Wow. When was he appointed pope?
I believe I read this actually 2013, I believe. Yeah, March 13th, 2013.
Okay, so this wasn't like a lifelong career, this guy's or anything.
No, he was pope for a minute, but
he was pope later in life.
He was the pope for as long as I knew that there was a pope.
Yeah, I didn't care about the Catholic Church and the Vatican before 2013. So, Pope Leo, how old is he?
69. You know what? You know why this is so
nice,
interesting though.
Why?
This new pope, the first ever American pope. He's an American.
What? Seriously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, born in Chicago.
They got a Chicago guy to be their pope? That's genuinely surprising. How do you get how are you pope? How are you pope? You just like
dude.
Is it like going to church and climbing the corporate ladder but in wooden pews all day?
How do you become
Is this a job opportunity
pope
in my future?
You must be elected by the cardinals during a conclave. So, but how do you become a candidate?
Yeah, what warrants candidacy of being a?
How do you become a pope candidate? You must first become a Roman Catholic. Well, okay. And then progress through the church's hierarchy. It is a corporate ladder.
It is. Wow! It seriously is a corporate ladder of churching.
And then there's a vote. A pope vote.
A pope vote. Well, I mean, rest in peace, Pope Francis. But
we're gonna have an American in office.
Wow. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Long live Pope Leo the 14th. That's interesting. Yeah, he was kind of in Francis. That is, he was kind of like in my mind as Queen of England sort of situation. Like they've been old as long as I've ever known them, and they were probably never gonna die.
Yeah, and then they're both dead.
And now they're both dead, which is, sad. But dude, you know what else is sad? Holy crap. My oven.
Sad.
My oven.
Oh.
I've been trying. I have 6, a big stack, 6 frozen pizzas in my freezer right now that can't be cooked because my oven, if I put preheat on, it just doesn't do anything. The stove works. The what's the thing under the heating food heater keep hotter?
The oven?
No.
What are you talking about?
The thing under the stove. The food keep warmer.
Oh, I know. I don't use that, so I don't know nothing about it.
Most people use it for their pots and pans.
That's what we use it for.
Right.
I've never used it once.
I don't know what it's called, but that
honestly
thing.
Hardly ever use an oven, if I'm being honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, most of the things I'll cook is going to be in a skillet on the stove or in a pot.
Yeah. I guess thinking about it, most of the things, and by most I mean genuinely like 99.9% of the things I use the oven for is frozen pizza. So I guess.
And I don't really eat frozen pizza. I would. That sounds delicious, but
Sam's Club frozen pizza. But anyway, yeah, my oven's broken, so I just can't eat pizza, which is truly a devastation. If you know anything about me and my diet, which none of you do, but now you do.
They do because of because everybody that's watching this has watched every piece of content we've ever put out.
Right, of course.
They would know
Naturally.
that one short that you put out about your pizza brain fog. That's a deep cut. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, pizza, it does inject quite the quantity of fog into my consciousness.
I feel that a lot with sales because I do that because I'll even, not as much anymore, but historically would go out and eat a really big lunch and then come back to work. I've probably even said this on the podcast before. Like just the amount of, like I'm approaching somebody to talk to them and I'm just coming off a lunch and I don't know how to put a sentence together. It's really, it's like, you want stuff? I sell stuff. Me, you talk, please.
Yeah. Yeah, the brain fog hits, dude, with like carb dumping. Oh my God. Raising Cane's Cognac freaking combo does it to me just like
idea.
pizza. It destroys. I swear to God, there's got to be like a brain neuron blocker that some of this food comes with. 'Cause it just stunts all activity up there. It's crazy.
I can't even do the Cognac combo anymore. That messes me up. Oh my God. What is it? 6 tenders? It's 6 of them and then some fries and then
I think it's 5. I think it's fries.
No, I think it's 6.
Is it 6?
Hold on.
But I know it always comes with a coleslaw that I always swap for a second toast. Always.
Yeah, you got 6 fingers in there.
Oh my God. Yeah, okay.
Because I knew that because the second biggest is the box combo at 4. I think it's the 4-piece, or it's the one underneath it is 4 strips,
right.
And then you go up to 6. There is no 5.
Okay,
so your Cognac combo, you're slamming 6 tenders
and fries, and in my case, 2 toasts because
double carbs.
Because frick that coleslaw. So yeah, no wonder I am actually tranquilized after I eat it. Yeah, speaking of being able to not think. So there's this book I've been reading from David Deutsch called The Beginning of Infinity. Holy frick. I read this book like a year or 2 ago, and I just don't think I had the ability to comprehend it then. So I'm rereading it now, and I'm comprehending it more now than I did then. But it's on the topic of knowledge creation. It's very like epistemological. Like, how do you know that you know? How is knowledge attained and created, and
right,
justified versus unjustified belief, and good explanations for beliefs and bad explanations for beliefs and stuff like that. It's genuinely super fascinating. One reason, because David Deutsch, it's coming from a super scientist. Like he dabbles in like quantum stuff, and he's probably, I think he's like one of the main proponents of the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. And he's a super genius. So he is also of the opinion of an objective morality outside of just being an evolutionary byproduct, outside of being religious, like Sam Harris. And he sort of brought the ideas of this into art. And he goes as far as to say some parts of artistic creation is objective. Beauty is objective. He goes as far, which is wild in my.
How do you make that? How do you make that work?
So he doesn't go as far as to say all beauty is objective. There is like, as in, yeah, he kind of splits it and says some aspects of beauty is objective. He brought it up with the topic of flowers. Why do we find flowers beautiful? We don't find, like, flowers are beautiful. Well, let's back up a little bit. Flowers look the way they look because it looks good to bees, right? Because they have pollen, and that's what bees eat and spread.
Right. Yeah.
And flowers want their pollen to go around and spread, which bees do that. So flowers evolved to the way they do because of the natural selection of bees grabbing the ones that attracted them the most, which spread their genes the most, those flowers. So that's why flowers look the way they do, but they also look really good to us. So,
sure, yeah.
Given that the process of natural selection, not only does it apply to animals, as we obviously know, but natural selection is a process happening to every living thing everywhere at all times. And this, obviously, flowers are one of the most obvious examples when it comes to plants. But he sort of took that in the direction of there was right and wrong answers. Basically, there was right and wrong beauty standards when it came to the natural selection of flowers. Even though it was simply aesthetic. Now he takes that to things like music. Let's take Beethoven. Right? So,
okay,
if we take a musician that is just renowned, everybody knows him, one of his songs, we take it, there is no one on earth that would say if you took one of his songs and then just removed like one instrument of it and just bastardized one of his songs, it would be any... People would say it got worse. They wouldn't say, oh, now it just fits somebody else's preference. They would say it got worse. There's a reason why renowned musicians' music seems to have this objective power over other music, as if it's not just fits more people's preference, but simply is better, right? When you can make that example with just about any song. If you take a song and pluck a beat out of one part of it and no longer make it symmetrical or something, no one's going to say, oh, now it just fits somebody else's preference. They're going to say it's worse now. It is worse. It is not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just... I don't know if I really agree that that would make it objective, though. That's
Sure.
I,
So
that's
what? So
that's where
what is it then? Because subjective doesn't sound right when we say it gets better or it gets worse.
I mean, I would say it is subjective because it's worse to me. Now, if I guess if you did poll the entire planet and everybody was in agreement, I guess you could say on a humanitarian scale, maybe you could call that objective. We're the closest thing we can get to it, but it's still a subjective judgment on my own preference, even if it's a popular, uh, I don't know, feeling that I have about it.
Hmm. So then, so sure, but then what if someone just says they feel like 2 + 2 = 4 is wrong? You and I
That is a
obviously know that they're being stupid. Like it doesn't take any brain power to know that they are in fact incorrect when they say
right,
that they think it's wrong.
but there is that is something that is objective though. The counting of things is an objective fact. It's not objective as in it's tangible, but it's
I would say neither is. Perhaps music would have the same tangibility as mathematics. Perhaps.
well, I mean, so like as far as music goes, if somebody says to me, on this note, play the fifth of that note, and you play the seventh or something, that's objectively wrong. But it doesn't make it objectively bad. It just makes it incorrect. If you see my distinction,
Right. If if
it
you're trying to follow a certain
yeah. So you
rhythm,
can
yeah.
you can be incorrect in the world of music if you're trying to replicate something or follow a direction. But if we're talking about just inherent emotional value, just because I play the seventh instead of the fifth doesn't necessarily mean that it's better or worse because it's incorrect.
So what is to if there is if I throw at a mixing software a random assortment of noises and say I've made music, what is to stop me from making that claim just completely as valid as Beethoven making a song?
I mean, nothing's stopping you. It's a lot like, to give another example, it's a lot like somebody going to an AI generator and saying they've made art. It feels disingenuous. It feels lazy, but
Okay, so what if I put a lot of time into making something that has no discernible beat, no discernible rhythm, no discernible any sort of path? Just a I put a lot of time into making something completely unidentifiable as a musical song.
there's a song that doesn't exactly do that, but what is the name of that song? I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find this
Because
song.
it just doesn't feel right to me to say that that person and Beethoven are on the same sort of validity when they
Well,
claim that they're making
you
music here.
wouldn't. Well, that's the thing, is you wouldn't say that because the I have to choose what I say carefully because it's music has a structure. The beauty of music is that it doesn't have to align with the structure. Now, I could say music is.
Objectively, there is a structure.
I mean, music theory exists,
Of course.
but
So does ethics analysis.
Right. Music theory exists, and it gives you. I mean, you could. I got this guy right here.
Pocket music theory.
I forgot I had this. So I mean,
that's conveniently placed.
I could look through this, and it could tell me, triads on the first and second inversions, and I could know that that's probably a good thing to do. And instead of playing a note, here and here, and play it up here instead, and that might be better or worse. But I know that that's what a triad is, and I should probably do that. But because I don't do that doesn't make it wrong. But this is the structure. This is a guideline for standard, commonly accepted music.
So there's no such thing as good music and bad music.
On a global objective scale, I would say not. I wanna tell you about what I was trying to find though. So there's a band called Animals as Leaders, okay, and they made a song called Arithmophobia.
Oh,
and the purpose. Obviously, we can't. I want to show you this. Just listen to the first little bit of it. We can't show this because copyright, but
right.
Check that out real quick.
Okay. I get the gist. It's sort of going against what a typical rhythm would be.
Right. So the whole point of that song is if you take individual layers of it, they're kind of aligned into a certain pattern, but then they just like kind of misalign them in different places. To a normal listener, that might seem unpleasant, but a lot of people really like stuff like that. It's very interesting. And I would say that is no less music than something else.
But the question would it be any less good?
I don't think it'd be any less good. I mean, I think fewer people would like it.
That is interesting. There is more details onto why he thinks beauty can be objective, and he goes quite a bit more into the evolution of flower beauty and stuff.
And on that note, so like, yeah, so all right, so bees like certain flowers more, but we're not talking about.
I'm not fully representing this correctly.
I'm a little bit compelled by the idea that like biological attractedness could play a role in determining something objective. However, I think it's a little bit dangerous to be like, okay, well, so per biology, a human male is attracted to a human female because of pheromones, right?
Sometimes.
Generally. But
yeah.
Are you going to say that that's the objective way to have relations?
Well, it's not coming from an evolutionary sort of standing ground. That was just the same way Sam Harris doesn't bring evolution into the morality objectivity. He wasn't using the fact that because evolution had a direction for beauty, therefore there is an objective standard of it. He wasn't trying to say that evolution is the reason that there's objectivity.
Okay, that's the direction I thought you were going. I retract my.
That's why I tried to clear. Yeah, I'm not representing it quite the way it's represented in the book, and it is simply more compelling when reading it and fully understood. I really just knowing that there are people that have IQs that are double mine that have thought about these points a lot more than me can be fully grabbed by the idea of something like an objective morality, and David Deutsch's case, as far as saying that at least to some degree art can be objective. I'm trying my absolute best to understand their perspectives. I'm really trying, but I haven't got there yet.
And that's the other thing is that if somebody just walked up to me on the street and said, well, morality or beauty can be objective, I'd just be like, no, that's stupid, and move on with my day. Somebody so renowned and so incredibly intelligent saying that, I would be curious to hear.
You have to step back and think about it at least.
I can tell you that the premise, I don't like it. I think that they got an uphill battle with winning me over, but hey.
Definitely. I would say not only is it's an uphill battle with morality for sure. I'd say it's an even straighter uphill battle with something like beauty.
Yeah. I'd be interested to hear a more refined point. I could just look this up on my own, but it's more fun to hear you try to recount it.
Dude, I'm trying. Yeah, it's tough. I want to be able to freaking talk to these people. I would love to be able to talk to these people, but God, are they so far above us? We just could not even. We couldn't even spit on their boots. Speaking of Sam Harris, there's a funny game here. So I'm gonna give you a couple options there, and you're gonna have to pick. So a virus spread in a confined area of 600 people, and there's an antidote, but you get two options. Option one is you can guarantee 200 people are saved. 200 people live. Or option two, there's a 1/3 chance that 600 live, but a 2/3 chance that all of them die. So which one? Option one or option two?
So the 2/3 was how many people?
There's 600. It's a confined area of 600 people.
So but 1/3 chance that they all live, or how many?
1/3 chance. There's a 1/3 possibility that 600 all live.
Of 600, okay.
600 of 600, yeah. Or 2/3 that everyone dies. Or option one, you save 200 people.
Well, I mean, this could be reworked into a trolley problem too. I mean, this is just kind of just one of those.
Kind of.
And if I'm random chance. And if I'm to be consistent, I mean, we did this with was it the trolley problem website, or was it the other one where there was it was like a 10% chance to save a certain amount of people and a 50% chance to save a certain amount of people. You remember when we did that?
I think it was. I don't know. I can't remember. It might have been ChatGPT asking us a moral dilemma.
So this is basically a 33% chance to save everybody, or just
save 200 people.
Save a third of them. I think what we said before. What did we say before on that?
I don't even remember exactly what the question details were.
I want to say that we said go for the more guaranteed option on that. And that's kind of what I'm thinking now. It's difficult though, because it's like you want to save everybody, but at the same time, you could. Well, 66% of the time, you'd be saving nobody. So my thought process would be, you take your 200 and you go home. I mean, call it a day.
You take your 200. Okay, well, so option one probably.
I don't like that.
All right. Well, That's what not. These aren't here to be liked. All right. So next scenario. Option 1, same 600 confined people. Option 1, 400 of the 600. 400 dead. All of them die. And option 2, there's a 1/3 chance no one dies. 1/3 chance no one dies.
So it's just the same. Well, no, it's.
Oh, sorry. 2/3 chance no one dies.
I was gonna say, yeah. If you're just flipping the problem, that's wrong.
I said the question wrong. Yeah, 2/3 chance no one will die, or a 33% chance everyone dies.
You're right. You're thinking to go. You're making me think to go the other way.
Exactly.
Now I'm thinking you take the 2/3 chance.
Right. Because I said option 1, you kill 400 people immediately.
Yeah, I think that you'd go with the 2/3 chance option on that one, even though it's the same thing.
Right. It's Wait, did I say it right the first time? Yeah, I said it right the first time.
What was it? The first one was save 200 people, or
1/3 chance 600 will be saved. So when I said 1/3 chance no one will die, or all will.
One-third chance no one will die, which is the same thing as a 2/3 chance is that everybody dies.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I still would go with that option I picked, but it feels bad.
Yeah, the reason I say that is because even though that's the same question twice, the first one is phrased in a way where you're saving 200 people versus there's a 2/3 chance that everyone will die. And the second one is phrased as 400 people are immediately dying. Or you can get a 1/3 chance that no one dies. And that's the same question twice, but when asked to the general public, most often they swap their answers when they're asked in that way. I thought that was super interesting.
There's something to be said for the power of suggestion. Like if the way you say something can determine an outcome.
Right. It's so well, I think it was a study on loss aversion. When you frame it in a way, the second one, when you frame it in a way that you're instantly losing 400 people, that instantly makes them not want to pick that choice. As to when that same choice was phrased as you're instantly saving 200, it makes it much more attractive, even though it's the same ass thing. So I think it was a study basically on that, on people's much more strong gravitation towards loss aversion rather than the same. So I think there was another scenario. There was a girl with 195 IQ with just unbelievable musical talent. She was like 6 years old. Just out of this world musical talent with an IQ that high. There was basically nothing stopping her from becoming one of the greatest musicians on planet Earth. And what was it? A doctor accidentally prescribes her some pills that cut her IQ in half down to a perfectly average 100, and she no longer has the musical talent. So she gets screwed. Or another scenario, this little girl is taken into the doctor with a perfectly average 100 IQ, and they find out after they leave that the doctor could have given her a pill that gave her unbelievable musical talent and nearly doubled her IQ, but didn't. And now the window is gone. These two people have just been in the same end point, yet one of them is under just total devastation, and one of them is like, well, shoot. I guess that would have been cool to have gotten that, but You see? Because one of them lost something and one of them didn't gain the same thing. But one of them is just obviously, if you lose half your IQ, is going to be in a tremendously worse mental state after that.
Right.
Just simply because of loss and instead of lack of gain. Which it's very, very interesting how you can really, really warp people's decisions simply by framing something in a way of loss.
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the, I think here's some insider information. At AT&T, they do a thing called waterfalling, where they instantly throw on all of the most expensive add-ons that you can get as soon as you walk into the building as a sales tactic to make it seem like there's a purpose for that. The waterfalling is you take things off as you go, because when they feel like they have things and they're losing, packages, losing all these things, it hurts more than to start them off with just the base and add things on as you go. That's the whole psychology of that sales tactic.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to top-down selling in general.
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm showing a product, and you show the high-end product first, and people will go, and this is what it's funny, because I know exactly what I'm doing on a sales floor, and I take people back and I show them a product, and I like, hey, let's take a look at this one. Oh, I don't want to pay that price. Oh, no, it's not about the price. We're just establishing what you like, right?
Right.
And then you get them on there, and then they go, oh, that is nice. And then you go, yeah, but you're not want to be at this price. Let's go ahead and step down to where you want to be.
Right.
And
now they feel like they're losing something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. It's nasty. It's nasty. It messes with people's psychology. It's taking advantage of. It works. You're right. It works. It's absolutely taking advantage of people and our biological nature.
Mm-hmm.
But it works. Shoot, there's people that are professional advertisers for a reason. They know how to capture our biological impulses. Frick, that's just social media in a nutshell.
Jeez.
Capturing our biological impulses. Yeah, that's with the bright colors, and like I think even with notifications on the phone, like if an app, like a little red dot in the top right hand side of the app, it's red because that's very attention grabbing when it's a notification. Yeah. We like red because red is ripe fruit and
Weird.
stuff like that, and blood and whatnot. But I wanted to talk about this. I thought about not saying this, but there's a dream I had last night that I gotta say. It was just so crazy. It was so crazy. So I wrote it down because I've basically forgotten it. So I'm reading this from a sort of broken memory of it. But so it started where I think I was in a hotel. I was in like a second story. And I opened the window of this second story hotel and looked down. What was it? There was a chick that walked by on the sidewalk that I was looking down on. And I got this chick's attention and started rizzing her up from the second story hotel window.
Sick, dude.
Yeah. And I don't remember any actual specific dialogue. I just remembered I was rizzing her up. And I was rizzing her up. I climb out the window onto the outside and hang from it from the second story for no reason I can remember. And then I just land on the ground, and then run. I've rizzed this girl up. Like the deal is as good as sealed at this point. And I run across the sidewalk, across the street into my old Cadillac.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Why are you?
Oh
For
God.
those who
Why am
don't
I
know,
doing?
which you wouldn't. This thing was a piece of junk.
Yeah. The girl was out of the picture at this point from my dream, from the distance of me from running to the sidewalk across the street into the car. She's out of the dream at this point now. I've rizzed her up. She's old news. So I get in my Cadillac and I remember I turn it on and then it unbeknownst to me, it floors it. I'm smash on the brakes and they don't work. And the Cadillac is flying down the road. So I can't stop my old shit box from driving. My brakes don't work. So I remember I turn it into a tree and smash it into a tree, but it doesn't full stop it. It slows it down and I drift it. I hit the tree, I drifted away, and I freaking smoke some guy on the side of the street. I destroy him in this Cadillac. And I remember I smoke him, and then the Cadillac flips over, and it's upside down. I'm perfectly fine. This isn't even a thought in my mind if I was ever injured. I get out of the Cadillac, and I'm just absolutely crushed. I'm devastated. I run back to where this guy is, where I absolutely just clobbered him. I run back to him, just absolutely devastated. I see him. He's alive. And there's a Destiny ghost above his body, as if, so in Destiny, the game, if you walk on a ghost, you can hold square to revive that player from their ghost. It's a little ball. And I see that thing. I'm like, I can revive him. So I'm running to this guy's body to get to his ghost so I can revive him. And then his ghost disappears right before I get to his body. And then he's dead. And I'm just crushed. I'm devastated. Like, I've never felt such just distraught emotion in my life. And then I wake up. That makes perfect sense. Like, that is akin to the psychopathy that I was talking about earlier with talking in my head. How is it that when we get into a dream, we do not immediately say, what the is going on? How did I get here? What's happening? Why does that not happen? Why?
I don't know. Have you done any research or thought into lucid dreaming?
I know what it is. See, here's the thing. Let me just a quick quip on this. I think I have lucid dreamt before, but I'm not sure. It doesn't feel like I was lucid dreaming, but I do have a memory of literally saying to myself in my dream, oh, I guess I can lucid dream. As if I had the control to do that. But it really didn't feel like I was. Whatever that's supposed to feel like. So I don't know if I have or haven't.
Yeah, I've never done that. There was a time in my life where because there's like things that you can do to better prepare yourself to lucid dream. And there was a time in my life where I actually would try to do it. I never did. But apparently to know if you're dreaming, one of the things that you can do is look at a clock. That's one of the things, because something about I now this is years ago that I heard this. It might be wrong. Something about a clock, like it won't be natural for something. Let me look this up. I might be talking my ass here.
You can't view time? Well, dude, I mean that is one of the biggest mysteries of the human brain. Is that whole dream of mine probably happened in the span of a couple seconds in real life. Like our concept of passing time when we're in a dream is totally distorted, which is crazy.
Yeah. So weird observations and barriers in lucid dreaming. So pain is one thing. You won't experience pain correctly. That's pretty.
That's obvious. Yeah.
So not only will a clock face move, either the hands won't be there, or this is not across people. People have different experiences, and maybe time works in a more normal way for some people. But either the hands will be distorted, or it won't look right, or time will be moving too quickly or too slow, physically on a clock. If you're looking at a digital clock, the symbols won't be right. The numbers sometimes won't be correct, and then again, it'll move in erratic ways.
So you can't ever see what time it is in your dream.
Some people probably can, but it's commonly reported that certain things like time, if you try to have time, if you try to, you can experience time, but if you try to see time recorded in a certain way in a dream state, it won't be right.
The
Is what I'm
brain
getting at.
brain hasn't written down that code yet.
Yeah, because we don't have much. People say you have an internal clock. You don't have a literal internal clock,
Right.
and if you're trying to have time be represented in a literal way within a dream state, it just won't be right for a lot of people.
That is interesting because, I mean, we know that a dream can feel like minutes or hours or for some many days, but in reality, it's, minutes or less.
Right.
Because our brain the concept of time is, we are completely at the mercy of the passing of time in relation to just how our brains feel like they want to perceive it.
I heard something one time. I wonder if this is true. They say that you actually have like lots and lots of dreams in a night. You can only remember usually like one or two, maybe.
Well, that
I've
is
heard that
directly
before.
related to how much REM sleep you get. Because
I guess that would be, yeah.
rapid eye movement is that's your dream state. Because that's when it like paralyzes. It intentionally paralyzes you because you otherwise would be making the actions in real life that you are making in that dream. That's why sleepwalking is a thing, is when that paralyzation misfires and you instead start doing what you're doing in your dream. That is weird. People have slept, walked, slept, eaten. People have slept drive.
Yeah, that's insane.
People have committed sleep murder before. And people have slept sex before.
Interesting.
What? Is there anything? Is this the example that I was looking for of a person that's not conscious operating in normal society? Just sleepwalking?
But they're probably conscious within their dream, though.
What the hell does that even mean? Yeah, probably, but like, what the hell is that?
it's not a person that I don't even know how to phrase that. That doesn't, I don't have the bandwidth to even put that sentence together. It's like consciousness. It's like your dream state isn't your consciousness as it relates to the physical world, but it is a representation on a non-physical world, but it's still consciousness.
So what is the brain doing that produces the conscious experience of a dream? For example, the brain wouldn't be doing it if there was not some reason for the brain to be doing it. Like we don't have to be conscious for the brain to be doing what it's going to be doing. So why is it so that consciousness allows us to see into what our brain? So that's not even the right wording. Our brain isn't having the dream. It is.
Okay.
But
So according to the Cleveland Clinic Health Essentials website here, I don't know who that is, but a prevailing theory is that dreaming helps you consolidate and analyze memories.
well, yeah.
But
It also regulates emotion.
Yeah, I don't.
But like, why do we
theory-
get
a
a
theory
visual
holds-
representation?
Dreams are a way for the visual cortex of the brain to defend its turf from against being taken over to process inputs and it cut off. Nice. Okay,
What?
awesome. That was about to get really interesting and then it cut off. All right.
Because I know dreams. See, if you dream, emotional regulation is one of the things that happens during REM sleep. If you dream about like a traumatic experience in your life, for example, after you're done dreaming about it, there will be less emotional attachment to the memory of that in waking life. So if you dream about something, the emotion that usually is attached to that memory becomes detached over time. I do know that is one thing that dreams do. That's why one reason, well, it's the entire reason PTSD is a thing. When that function, the emotional regulation part of REM sleep is broken, I guess you could say, and the emotion never becomes detached from the memory, that means every time you rethink the memory, you relive the emotion. That's what PTSD is. So I know that is what one function, but what I don't understand is why a dream is part of that. Why when we're conscious of it, does it need to be a visual? Like the brain's going to do it anyway. Why do we have to see it? I guess. I don't know what the purpose of that is.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That'd be an interesting thing to learn though.
That's a lot. I mean, that's under several layers of who the frick knows. That not only is that there's a lot about sleep that we don't know. Then there's about dreaming that we don't know. And then why are we conscious of the dreams? That's even.
Then why are we conscious at all?
And then why are we conscious? That's, yeah. I think I wouldn't hold our breaths to get the answer to that anytime soon. But I think we've, much like a dream, much like me plowing over a guy and failing to revive him, and that being over, that is also the same status of this episode.
Exactly.
I like that segue. So let us know if you guys can lucid dream and what it feels like. Does it feel, answer me this, does it feel any different if you're lucid dreaming versus not? Because I would like to know, was I lucid dreaming like at all? I feel like I was if I had the ability to literally say, oh, I guess I can lucid dream in my dream. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah.